So, Mark, did you see that widescreen panoramic aerial view of Las Vegas from 1955? You can see so much desert, but some of the cool properties of the past and even ones like Flamingo.
It looks a lot like the properties people are buying south of the strip now, just empty wasteland with tumbleweeds everywhere.
I think Vegas was much an empty wasteland in 1955, but it's really cool
But
to see.
how was Lake Mead? Was it like this high? Was it this high?
There was a lot more water, even though there was a lot more desert. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see like the bones of current Vegas as it all filled in. And then it's crazy to think just about how dense everything is now on the strip.
Yeah, and then like, do you know the backstory of like how this all? Why did they pick this random spot in the desert? Did like the mob get land from somebody they were gonna murder if they didn't pay their debts, or like? I've always wondered that.
Let's go with that. I don't know. All right, Mark. So a lot of earnings news came in this week, and we're going to talk about that. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about, so let's get right into it. But let's start with the big story. Wynn, Caesars, and MGM all reported their earnings. And we've talked on this channel about how like service standards have gone down and there's less people working. And well, now we know why. I mean, they are making money hand over fist. MGM basically has record profits. Caesars has over $1 billion quarters. Like they're bringing in tons of money. And even Wynn is reporting like over 90% occupancy with crazy high room rates. So now the answer as to why things aren't getting better in Vegas is people are paying. And so why they don't have to do better, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing we're seeing with airlines too, really. You know, they're charging $700 for a 2-hour flight and people are paying it, and it's packed to the gills, even though there's delays and cancellations right and left. So I think Vegas is the same way. I do expect it to get softer in quarter three and definitely quarter four, just because of inflation and everything else going on. And, you know, people are going to be, you know, protecting their money a bit more. I think a lot of this was, you know, we've talked about in the past of people have been saving up and not being able to go anywhere. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, well, I'm going to Vegas. I don't care what it costs. I haven't gone anywhere for 2 years. I miss it. I'm going to go. I'm going to spend the money. And then they go and they're like, wow, I spent, you know, 3 times as much as I normally would. And I didn't get anywhere near as close to as good as an experience as I would have 3 years ago. So I don't think they're going to get the repeat customers as much as they would have in the past. So I think they're just getting everybody's one big trip. And then, you know, they're like, well, I'll go somewhere else now. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Here's some numbers for Wynn. Their 2021 in the second quarter, their average daily rate was $333, which, you know, isn't bad. They averaged 67% occupancy a year ago. This second quarter, the average rate went up to $460, so at a significant increase. And then, like I said, they were at 90.5% occupancy. So Wynn doing really well, even though some mixed news out of Macau for obvious reasons. Caesars had some interesting things. Their CEO, Tom Reeg, said basically he can't come up with words to describe how well things are going for them in Las Vegas. Their hotel...
The cheap jerks.
Yeah, exactly. They're laughing all the way to the bank. They've never had, you know, their previous record was $91 million in a month for Las Vegas revenue, and they passed that in every month of this past quarter. They say they're on pace to do $1 billion in Vegas revenue for the first time. The company still had a net loss because of interest and other issues, but they did really well. And then it was just MGM saying, basically, we hit it out of the park. And they even talked a little bit about the Cosmo integration. And one of the big things for MGM and why they posted such a big profit is obviously they got that money from the sale of, you know, Vici Properties, MGM Growth, that big land trust sale. They got a lot of money from that and they turned that around, bought Cosmo, did some other things, but they seem to be in pretty good financial shape.
Yeah, I was surprised to see how much money Cosmo brought in the short, what they own it for like 4 weeks. And I forget, like 60 million or 90 million or something like that in that short period of time.
Yeah, $60 million in pre-tax earnings in just the first 6 weeks that they owned Cosmo. So yeah, it's the
why sell it? Why would you sell that?
It's funny. I mean, it's crazy, and I stayed there. We'll talk about that in a second. But again, like people who love Las Vegas love to complain how it's changed. We do too. You know, bean counters, cutting costs, not bringing service back, not bringing all the venues back, like late night venues, all this stuff that we've experienced, and it's not hurting them. I guess the only question is, does it hurt long term? I think we both think it will, but you know, at this point, I got to give the bean counters 1, us 0, because they seem to be winning from a purely business standpoint.
Yeah, and that's what, my fear with the pandemic and everything is people have figured out how to do things cheaper, offer less things. And a lot of times we were okay with it because we understood the situation. And as we roll out of it, you're still seeing restaurants with, sorry, our service is so slow, we don't have enough people, and that's everywhere, not just Vegas. And it's like, okay, well, we're getting to that point that you can't really use that as an excuse any longer. So I wonder how long it'll take them to figure out that people aren't going to accept it and be as forgiving as they have been. And I think we're seeing that everywhere. People are being more rude to staff and stuff, which isn't the solution either. The solution is if you don't have enough staff, then, close down half the restaurant or whatever, turn people away. That's what you got to do, what you got to do. But yeah, I just think this is going to end poorly, and they're going to have to start throwing out all these huge offers or deals or discounted rooms, stuff like that, within the next year or so. At least we hope so.
Yeah, the second quarter was obviously the start of like the travel boom for the summer. So maybe, the numbers will be more reflective of the economic conditions. We've seen, some challenges in the economy, higher interest rates. Inflation has continued to go up even into this third quarter. So maybe we'll see numbers in the third quarter that aren't quite as good, and then the fall will be a real test, right? When we're fully back. So we'll see how that goes. I did want to talk about our stay at Cosmo. We stayed there on an offer that my wife got. Unfortunately, not a free night offer, but it was like $99 a night with no resort fee, and just to stay at Cosmo. That's
free these days in Vegas, right there.
Yeah, pretty much. And so that was for a regular room. I paid $30 more to upgrade to a 1-bedroom terrace suite, which has that beautiful bathtub that overlooks the balcony and, overlooking the strip. Couldn't get a North Strip view, or I guess didn't pay enough for it. But we did get a look over the South Strip, and that was beautiful. But it was just a reminder to me, this room, I'm kind of comparing it to Wynn, Encore. As you know, those are my, Cosmo and Wynn Encore are my favorites in town. And the room at Cosmo, if you can get that 1-bedroom terrace suite, it's just about the perfect hotel room. It has a giant shower, giant tub, views, looking out over the strip. You can go sit outside on your terrace, so you can, have an outdoor space. It has a separate living area with a couch. It has your bedroom area kind of separate. It may just be the perfect hotel room for Las Vegas. I think it definitely edges out Wynn Encore, and it just reaffirmed my belief that this is still an amazing property. And thankfully, even though they've only had 6-8 weeks to mess it up or whatever it is, it still felt like Cosmo. It didn't feel like MGM's Cosmo. So thumbs up for that. I did enjoy the stay. We got to enjoy the pool, and mostly just hang out in the room. And overall, pretty good. We didn't push them very hard for service. Jasmine played a little bit at the bar. Good service there. Typical Cosmo.
Did you get the flower drink though? The numb drink?
No, I didn't. I should have. I was considering. I know we didn't get it, so fail there. But yeah, overall, it was pretty good. I know that there's another YouTuber who had a kind of a video go semi-viral, had an incident with security and stuff like that. Not treated so well. We didn't have any of that, so I'm glad to report that. And my wife had a great stay. Everything was in her name, so that was good. And yeah, again, I love the rooms there. If you've never stayed there, it's just it's great. It's really a great place, top to bottom, except for the pool. The pool area. Now we did the not the Boulevard pool, the Chelsea pool, and man, it's so hot out there. There's no shade. I know that they're not the only pool in Vegas to not have shade, but it was brutally hot. So yeah, not a win there. I mean, those pools are really for hanging out and showing yourself.
They're for peeing in and hanging out and
yeah,
feces water. And a lot of the pools are like that. Yeah, I think it was Plant Hollywood pool. You walk outside and it's just you're burning before you even get to any semblance of a pool area. There's this huge concrete area that you have to walk through, and it's kind of horrible and not really well designed. So I definitely feel like they could add more fake palm trees, if not real palm trees, something. Bring in some shade, or bring in the tent shades. But we've seen the windstorms in Vegas that maybe they don't want to because they're worried about stuff getting blown away or falling over. So definitely summer in Vegas is not my time, man, for sure.
I do wish that they would find a better way to connect Cosmo to the other MGM properties. They purposely didn't connect it, right? Because they weren't owned by the same company. And as of now, Cosmo is not giving free parking even for MGM Gold. So I couldn't get free parking there. So I had to go to park at Bellagio, which is sort of a little bit of a pain. Or I guess I could have paid, but who's going to pay for parking, right? But yeah, that's, they're not well connected though. That's the kind of reminder between Cosmo, even though geographically it sits in between all the properties. So I wonder if they're going to do something to better integrate them.
Yeah, it's weird that they're still charging for parking. Everything's been integrated as far as like, well, the player club hasn't, so I guess that's why. But you think they'd figure out how to do that quickly if they want to get MGM, their higher end MGM players over there and kind of woo them with this purchase. You think that would be one of the first things they do, but I'm sure they're making money off of it somehow.
Yeah, my guess is it's a priority, right? But as of the time I stayed, it just basically said MGM card members don't, get free parking. Like the card doesn't work. So I'm sure they'll get it there. But yeah, it's exciting stuff. I had this further down on the agenda, but we might as well talk about it now. Got to get an update on the kind of expansion to Crystals, that mall that's being built at the corner of Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, directly across from Cosmo. My room had a great view of it, and I got down there. That's coming along, and it seems to be like mixing in really well with Crystals, even though it's its own thing. It's not part of Crystals Mall. So it kind of keeps the architecture there. Kind of nice to see that corner filling in, and excited to see what's going to happen across the street, which is where that rumored Tillman Fertitta casino is, where all the Hawaiian Marketplace, all that stuff shut down. So that corner should be getting good. So still, I think the best location. I think that Harmon Las Vegas Boulevard is the best place to stay in Vegas if you want to be central to everything.
Yeah, there is quite a bit like right there, and I saw the picture, and it does seem like it was almost like planned to be there, and works in really well, which is good. It will just blend right in, so you won't notice it. Last thing we need is another mall, so at least it won't seem like it's another mall, I guess.
But it will have a CVS, so that's
there you go.
Gotta
Get
have
those
the CVS.
$25 waters for $2.50 or whatever.
Yeah, they're putting out the people on the bridges selling waters out of business, one CVS at a time. The other project coming up that we learned about is 50-foot Vegas Showgirls. Now, I think a lot of people don't even know that a few years ago in 2018, the city of Las Vegas built these 25-foot tall Showgirls just north of the Stratosphere, or the Strat. And basically, when you're entering Las Vegas, it's the Welcome to Las Vegas girls. And I guess they got destroyed by weather, all these storms that we had that we talked about on last week's show. So the city said, since they got destroyed by weather, we're going to just build them again, bigger and better. So now they're going to be 50 feet tall. And it looks like, they're nice. They're interesting. I'll throw some video. I have
our
of the 20
our 25-foot ones got destroyed. Let's make it easier to knock them down.
Pretty much. That's what it seems like. There's no time frame, but yeah, it's just like a little press release basically saying we're going to rebuild them. They're going to be 50 feet tall. It looks like the design is very similar to what's there now. So yeah, good news there.
How close is this to the light up thing that you drive under in that area?
It's right north of it. So if you're coming from like the South Strip and you're driving, you would drive under the arch first, and then you would reach it. It's basically, if you're heading north at the kind of the end of the Stratosphere's property line. And right next to there will be that new Atomic Golf. They broke ground this week, which is sort of like a Top Golf. They're going to have like swing suites and, just think of it like Top Golf with like all kinds of atomic lights and nighttime kind of cool stuff. And they broke ground. So that's going to be going on the north side of Strat as well. So it'll be right in that same area.
Oh, that'll be cool. And, Strat's kind of aimed at younger people. So it'd be nice to have that there for them to do and walk over and take care of it. And I love Top Golf. So, competition will be interesting to see how they do their spin on it for sure.
All right. And we do have a couple of food related items. So we're going to move into the food portion of the show. Let's start. When we stayed at Cosmo, I had seen a TikTok about this place, which tells you how effective social media marketing is. But
at least for you.
Yeah, well, I think for a lot of people. But Jen Korean BBQ is this Korean barbecue place that opened up in the Miracle Mile shops. And of course, like Miracle Mile has always been known as having like really good cheap eats, like La Salsa Breakfast, that Ocean One restaurant. They have, that cheap Brazilian steakhouse there. So this place, $35, all you can eat. You grill all the food there, just like any typical Korean barbecue. I thought it was a pretty good deal. Now, if you go off the Strip or anywhere else in the world, you're not going to pay $35 for Korean barbecue. But considering you're on the Strip, the quality was pretty good, the food was pretty good, and it's fun cooking up your food. So I would recommend that if you're in the mood for some meat on the Strip. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Who doesn't like some meat in their mouth, right?
Yeah, they do have these like Capri Sun, like homemade Capri Sun alcoholic drinks. We didn't try one, but they looked pretty cool as well. So you can juice up. I think they were like $9 each for those. But yeah, overall, I recommend this restaurant for it is what it is. It's not the fanciest, but it's good Korean barbecue, and $35 on the Strip. I could think of so many easy ways to spend $35.
Anything that says all you can eat, always I'm kind of like, I don't know. But if if you're hungry, I guess save it up. Like, don't eat all day and just go in there. Or maybe it's good for when you're getting your buzz going to build your base right there. There you go.
Yeah, especially if you like meat or you're on keto or something. It is all you can eat, but you can't order like crazy amounts. So like you start with a limit of a few meats and then you just keep ordering more as you eat them. And like if you order a bunch of stuff and don't eat it, they charge you more. So, you know, it is all you can eat, but it's really
tricky
about cooking it yourself. Yeah, so you don't waste it. Good stuff.
I always love these places. Like we used to go to a Japanese steakhouse that they'd bring out like the heated stone when I was growing up, and you'd cook on that. Like who comes up with this genius idea? Like, hey, you're gonna pay me, and then you're gonna cook it yourself.
That's Korean barbecue in a nutshell, right there. But it's fun. It's fun to cook. You know, good for families too. All that stuff. If you've never been to one, but like I said, if you have been to one, this is pretty typical. So if you're looking for that experience and you know what it is, go for that as well. Also, in food-related news, the D announced they call it the world's first bacon-related restaurant or something like that. I've heard of other bacon-themed restaurants, but Bacon Nation coming to the D downtown. Everything bacon. Are you in?
I'm just excited that it's going to be 24 hours. It's like one of 3 places in Vegas that's 24 hours. But yes, anything bacon, I'm in. Okay, I had a question. I was hanging out with a buddy this weekend. We had do you think you could do it? And let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think you could eat 100 pieces of bacon in an hour and get through it?
I mean, it's one of those things that I think I could because it's 100 pieces. Let's see if you're like, what's a pound of bacon? Like 16 slices or something?
So I think it's like 32 slices it might be.
Oh, so that's only 3 pounds plus a bit. I think I could do that then. You know, I think it all depends on really what the weight is. But then I would never want to eat bacon again.
Well, then I was like, well, give me those pre-cooked ones that you just microwave and they're really thin. I could do that easy. They're like paper.
Yeah, that's true. Like the ones you get at Costco. So yeah, so bacon restaurant coming to Vegas. The other restaurant-related news that I wanted to talk about, I've talked about Casa Don Juan on here a bit. It's a Mexican restaurant I've been going back to for 20 plus years. It used to be just this hole in the wall downtown restaurant. We used to go back in those days when the owner would serve you himself. Well, he's grown, right? Prices have gone up, everything. They've expanded to 3 locations. He's going to jail now for underreporting sales by $5.1 million. So
that's a lot of Mexican food, man. 5.1 million. That's a lot of chips and salsa.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess he got caught. He underreported it. It got to a point where I guess it's very criminal. So he's most likely going to jail. So if you like Casa Don Juan, I have no idea if the restaurant will survive or not. Hopefully it does. It doesn't surprise me in Vegas though. That guy's been around a while. He knew the old Vegas.
Was this over like years? Because my mind is blown at $5 million. Like, was this over 20 years? Because I feel like, you know, you go to a Mexican restaurant, you spend like $15. Like, you're not running up huge tabs. It's got to be tough to get that amount of money.
It's over several years. It didn't say exactly how long, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Their prices in there are crazy. I think I talked about it a few weeks ago. I went in there for some chorizo and eggs and it was like $18. So I don't really recommend them anymore. The flavors are good, but I think there's better restaurants in town now. But if you do love them, you know, maybe pay them a visit before.
Hey, money laundering ain't cheap, bro.
No, no, it's not. All right. So what's also cool coming up, and this is actually cheap, is this Alice in Wonderland pop-up event. And basically,
that looks cool.
It does, right? Now, Royal Caribbean on their ships have this restaurant on their new ships called Wonderland, and it's basically this. It's like all Alice in Wonderland, you know, themed food, all fancy food, and all the decor and everything else. And this seems like they're taking that concept to the real world. It's $47 a person. The location is secret, so you don't find out until you book it. And I think it's running from September 28th through November 27th. So I don't know where in Vegas it's going to be. But at $47, it says you get a mixed 2 cocktails. And then I think there's going to be some food and stuff included. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like a neat experience. And based on the pictures, like they do it up right.
I'd rather do that for 47 than all you can eat barbecue for 35. Now, that reminds me, is that Saved by the Bell, the Max or whatever, still open? Do you know?
I don't know if it's still running. I think probably it is. But yeah, they had brought that pop-up for the Max. I would love to do that. That would be... I'd wait in line to go visit the Max.
We need the video. Let's go.
Yeah, but is this the future of, you know, these themed? I think that's really what this generation, or even our generation and maybe everybody younger, are really into, these themed over-the-top experiences. So I think that we'll probably see more of this kind of stuff, especially if you can hit a price point like $47. That's less than we paid for Omega Mart, right, at Area 15.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was somewhere around there. But I'm surprised they can make money off this. Like, you think to build all this out and everything, and you're only there for a limited time or a certain amount of time. I know that creates FOMO and gets it booked, but it's just crazy that they can make money off of it. But we've seen it like with the distillery, the Lost Spirits Distillery. Instead of just like a regular run-of-the-mill distillery, they're putting on like this whole production and show, and you're kind of just wandering around in a place. And I do think that's what, what the future is, especially in Vegas, because they always are kind of the forefront of that type of stuff. So I think that's what people are into right now. Now, down the line, it might change, but I think that's what, if you want to open up something, that's what you go for.
All right, one last story and more compliments to MGM. During our stay at Cosmo, finally got to get down and see the Bellagio Conservatory, their new display. I had seen pictures and videos of it. It's all this like wild animals and animatronics and everything. And I got to see it in person. And of course, I'm including some video here, but it turns out I think this is definitely my favorite Bellagio Conservatory display of all time. So I figured I
feel like you say that every time.
I just fallen up. No, I did like their Christmas. Well, God, yeah. Hello Kitty 2 back. Darn it.
Yeah. Now, did you see the dining area? Was that set up, and were people eating in it? That the new thing where you can pay, a couple $100 to dine in the gardens?
No, I didn't notice that set up there yet, but I'm sure that'll be, I think they announced it maybe right around the same time we were there, so hasn't started yet. But if you are in town before that changes, this is one I would recommend getting to, which is something I guess I say every 3 months. So, but I liked it. It was different. I'm glad they're continuing to invest in it and change it, so it's not like the same show coming back every year. Especially the summer ones seem to be very different every year, and that's a cool thing. So get over there, and it was a good time on the Strip. Didn't get to do too much, just kind of hanging around. I didn't want to leave that hotel room. I liked it so much. So that's the problem with staying at Cosmo. You just want to hang out in the room.
You got to go downstairs and get the numb drink at least, please.
I know, one of these days. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Let us know what you think about any of this stuff, the new mall on Harmon, staying at Cosmo, any of those food-related things. How do you underreport $5.1 million in sales? The Bellagio Conservatory, everything else going on, all those earnings. Let us know. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the thumbs up button, and most importantly, leave a comment. Let's discuss all this stuff down there. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
See you next week.